Welcome to another special episode of Chatting Movies with your old boy Jacob Wayne, and once again, our sweet, lovely, batteries not included, Michael Valentine. How you doing, sweetie?
What's good, Mr. Briner? How's it going?
Oh, it's going as things often do, and we're just gonna do a bit of a Oscar prediction discussion. I don't know, shit talk maybe
Sounds
of
good.
the Oscars that are coming up. We're recording this on Thursday, March 24th. The Oscars, I believe, are this Sunday, the 27th.
Yep, 27th.
And yeah, so we're just going to go through each of the awards and who's nominated and kind of give our little opinions. There's a really good Oscar kind of prediction discussion podcast ran by Perry Nemiroff. It's what's the term? Oh man.
From Collider, right?
Yeah, she used to be on Collider. Maybe she still is, but that whole, whatever it was, like film podcast thing kind of fell apart. A bunch of people went different directions. For your consideration, that's the name.
Okay.
And yeah, she does a really good one. So if you want kind of a maybe more informed version of this with her and her compatriots, that's cool. But I think they go a little soft. They try to say nice things about every movie that's on there. And I'll tell you right off the bat before we get into this, I have not enjoyed a lot of the films that have been nominated.
This is going to be a heated podcast.
It might, but just remember that I love you, Michael, and
it's all good,
even
man.
if we disagree, it's all for the love of movies. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, I really liked your intro, by the way. That was really shaking my speakers. That was wonderful.
That's good. Yeah, that's the little drop we used to play in the podcast when we were about to talk about movies, but kind of fits a little better here. But yeah, let's pull this up real quick. I'm just gonna go from kind of the more mundane awards to, obviously we'll end on Best Picture, Best Actor, Actress, all that stuff.
Right.
So if you got anything to say about any of this, let me know.
Sure.
We're trying to clock this in at about an hour, but if it goes a tiny bit over, no big deal.
Yeah, I guess I would just, I really love the Oscars. I feel like it's kind of my Super Bowl. I'm really into movies, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the Oscars because I love watching it, love following the awards and the movies, and kind of a celebration of film. But then I also feel like the awards don't really always mean anything. So
yeah,
dynamic. But
I think in that context, comparing it to the Super Bowl is a really good way of putting it, because the Super Bowl, it has plenty of moments of cringe. Why did they do that? Why the hell is this the halftime show? Holy shit, it's boring this year. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll have to find my sports guy to do sports things. I can only do so much. I need a friend that's like really knows that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Perfect.
Anyway, movies. So we're just gonna jump right in here. The first award we're gonna discuss is Best Sound.
Okay.
The nominees are Dune, The Power of the Dog, No Time to Die, Belfast, West Side Story, 2021. So I'll just toss it to you. Have any opinions right off the bat?
Yeah, this is actually an interesting category this year because they used to have two different sound categories. I think this is the first year they've combined them. There used to be sound mixing and sound editing, which are two different things, and most people have no idea what the fuck those two separate things are. So I guess they just combine it into one. But this is usually an interesting category as well because this is one that often wins awards that isn't really in other places. I think Interstellar, like some Nolan movies sometimes win, or some bigger action movies for better sound when they're really not nominated in other areas. So I think I think Dune might win this one out for usually it kind of has a sci-fi thing and just really awesome sound. And I think sometimes they give this award to places that won't win in other areas. So I'm thinking Dune for this one, but
Yeah. I'll say right off the bat that um and I don't want to be too much of a stickler on this kind of point, but
sure.
I heard it put this way not too long ago on some other podcast. They were talking about how um when you're considering things like best actor, best actress, and that was kind of more specifically what they were talking about.
Uh-huh.
They were talking about how comedies never get nominated,
Right.
or like horror films and all this stuff, and it's usually because of the I don't know, the preconceived notions about those genres and whatnot. But if you break it down and you look at like the difficulty of what sometimes these comedic roles or horror roles are pulling off
Yeah.
compared to yeah, that was an Oscar movie and the story was really moving and good, but was the acting that difficult in it? Like, so I do find like on segments like this, like best sound, it is a chance for like, well, clearly like things like Dune and No Time to Die, which I haven't seen yet, but I would imagine the sound has got to be pretty elaborate.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just kind of like Belfast, maybe the sound is really great. I didn't see Belfast or No Time to Die out of these movies, and but yeah, it really is kind of more of an opportunity to give credit to like sci-fi film or
Yeah.
kind of bigger blockbustery pictures.
Yeah, I think so. I think next year, I bet the Batman will be in this category because it just has incredible sound, and that's something I kept thinking about when I was watching it. So we'll have to see how it goes next year. But yeah, I like what you said about the comedy and the horror genres. I think a lot about like Mel Brooks type of things, and I think those
Mhm.
are Oscar-winning movies. And like, um, and then with the Golden Globes, they kind of break it down to like different categories, which I think is kind of cool because then it celebrates like best comedy or musical versus best drama, and kind of gives a chance to nominate more things and different things and kind of celebrate genres that aren't as that historically awarded. But yeah,
Sure. Yeah, I
this
would say Dune probably has this one. Maybe they'll give it to
yeah,
No Time to Die as like kind of a little send off
yeah,
to Daniel Craig. And I feel like the Bond movies are going to be pretty different from here on out.
yeah. This might be
Yeah.
something too. We can maybe circle back to this, but I was really curious about other categories that aren't really have awards, but maybe should. Maybe like best um, what's the word? Where like Andy Serkis, best like uh,
Oh yeah. What would the term be? Like
guys.
CGI
Yeah, motion capture.
acting,
Motion
motion
capture.
capture.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like that could be a cool category. But anyway, I'm curious on your thoughts, and maybe we'll circle back to the end on that of other categories that maybe aren't here yet. But
I'll try to see if these awards make me think of one. I can't
okay,
think of any right off the bat. That is a good one. I've thought about that before
yeah,
because that is like kind of a different whole other monster. Like,
yeah,
um, what's his face that played Thanos?
yeah. Josh
What's
Brolin.
his? Yeah, Josh Brolin. He did a great job, and
Yeah. I like the idea
yeah,
too of like them adding new categories because as movies change and evolve, there might be brand new things that don't exist now where we should be awarding these things down the road. But anyway,
I could see also taking some of these segments or awards and maybe like taking them and throwing them up on YouTube, like Oscar Day.
yeah,
And so then the actual like ceremony televised event isn't as long.
uh,
And it's like it is more of like the big spectacle for the bigger awards, but
yeah,
there's still something really fun and interactive going on YouTube for the other ones.
and
I don't know.
there's some controversy about that this year a little bit with them trying to cut the
Ooh.
award show down, and a lot of directors have spoken out about it and are very angry. Guillermo del Toro, I think James Cameron, Spielberg, about them cutting like makeup and other categories that are historically shown at the award show. and just kind of, showing the famous actors and things. But really, there's whole casts and crew behind these movies that do incredible work that I think should be celebrated during awards night. But
Well, I agree with that, but I do also agree that the broadcast is too long for people.
way long.
Like it's just, and they're so worried about how many viewers they're getting. So it's like, well, like what is the solution to that? You do want everybody to have the camera on them, have the moment to give the speech. Do you just stream it like the whole event? Does it become a streaming event?
Or do you just cut
I
some
don't
of
know.
the really terrible jokes that no one really cares about? And
Yeah, like just get rid of the hosts altogether. And all the, maybe have the silly, like have Billy Crystal come up every year and do a little song and dance number at the beginning, even if it's like might break his back. But yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move right along.
Awesome.
Best production design. The nominees are Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story 2021, Dune, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. I will say the only movie I haven't seen on here, I'm a little surprised, is Tragedy of Macbeth, which I really want to see because it's one of the Coen brothers and Denzel. But best production design, I don't have strong opinions on production design specifically. I didn't like the movie at all. But one thing I did like about it was the design and look of it. It was a very beautiful film. So I don't know if it quite goes under that category, but Nightmare Alley would probably be my choice. If not that, then Dune.
Yeah. I'm kind of along the same lines with you. I still haven't seen Macbeth and West Side Story. But yeah, I'm leaning very heavily with Dune and Nightmare Alley here. Nightmare Alley, just gorgeous film. Like that carnival with the devil and stuff, the detail, it just like kind of drips off the screen. I just kind of want to go wander around the carnival.
Sure.
And obviously, huge Guillermo fan. So every time he gets some accolades, I'm cool with that. And then with Dune, I feel like something awesome about Dune. It just looks like it's so expensive, and obviously it costs a lot of money to do. But some of these superhero movies cost like twice as much or a lot more money, and they look 10 times worse than Dune did. So I think Dune is really cool, and as a way of like cost effectiveness of CGI, it just looks incredible for a pretty like relatively smaller budget than some of these CGI things. So I think Dune proves that you can make amazing movies and not rely on CGI and actually have it not cost too much money. But
yeah, I think Denis Villeneuve, am I pronouncing that right? I don't
pretty
know
close.
for sure.
Yeah.
He does an incredible job. That's partially due to his cinematographer as well, but who maybe you can pull up his name while I'm doing this little chit chat about it.
Yeah. I think his name is Dan Fraser. I'll look it up as well. But he's the same cinematographer as the Batman. So he had Dune and the Batman, which is pretty cool back to back.
Yeah, but Denis films are always like gorgeous, and yet they do seem pretty straightforward. Like they're not overblown with the CGI. And I suppose two other things that I thought of with this before we move on is that was actually like kind of an interesting point somebody made about Nightmare Alley, was that the carnival wasn't noir enough in the sense that it looked awesome and amazing, and it's like I want to go there. And they wanted it like they're like, this is supposed to be like a drab, seedy carnival, and it does do that, but there is the other element of like, that's actually pretty awesome. Like I might want to go work there.
Yeah, it looks like kind of like, oh, this is Guillermo Del Toro Carnival. I'm like, okay, I want to go there.
I'm in. Yeah.
Guillermo Disneyland.
Who do I have to poison to get on this thing?
Yeah, it's actually Greg Fraser is the cinematographer. I said Dan Fraser, so correct that. And one of the reasons I like the carnival so much, and it's it goes back to Guillermo's other movie a few years ago, Crimson Pink, where he made this haunted house that's just amazing. And he really tried to like keep the haunted house like around and like have it be like Hobbiton so people could come visit.
Yeah.
And sadly, like the production people or the company just wouldn't let him do that. But it made me think a lot about that too, is haunted house, and we really do need a Guillermo Del Toro Disneyland. I think that would be the coolest
Sure.
thing ever. So
Yeah, there are a lot more things like that need to happen for sure.
yeah,
And then the tragedy of Macbeth, once again, I haven't seen it, but even
yeah,
like clips and trailers, like it looks beautiful.
yeah, I'm very
But
excited.
I think maybe the reason I wouldn't give it the award is because does have that black and white stark minimalism to it,
Yeah,
which is beautiful. But this kind of goes back to my one point: is it's like, how hard is it to create these environments?
yeah,
And it's like, it seems like Dune and Nightmare Alley takes a bit more effort.
yeah, yeah,
Not that there isn't a keen eye going on with Tragedy of Macbeth, but
yeah.
you
I do
can
need to
do
watch
that.
it too, and I kind of picked up some similar. Like I think it looks really great. Just from the trailer or some clips I've seen, it looks kind of more like a set, like a theater.
Yeah,
Like it looks like versus like Nightmare Alley, where it actually feels like a real world, you know, or Dune feels like a real place and a real world, and not just like a set. And it's nothing against Macbeth or like the artistic aspects of it, but just different goals and things. But
sure. And I think in the future we should try that little mutual streaming thing
oh yeah,
where we like watch something together while we're
yeah,
online. It'll be
yeah,
pretty
let's do
good.
that. That sounds great.
But all in due time.
Sure.
The next award is Best Film Editing.
Okay.
And the nominees are Don't Look Up, Tick Tick Boom, King Richard, Dune, The Power of the Dog. I'll let you go ahead on this one for a minute. What
Sure.
do you
Yeah.
think?
This one is kind of similar to sound. Like these ones are usually similar movies. They really give like sci-fi movies, you know, this category. I really like these categories with sound and film editing and stuff. I think Mad Max, Fury Road won before, and you know, again, like the Nolan movies usually get some love in these categories. So I probably just, you know, give it to Dune as well. I think, you know, some of these faster editing things. So I feel like sometimes they're harder to do versus like a long out drama where it's like more speaking, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
more like long shots. But editing is always a category, or not even a category, but it's a skill in film that I really love because it's like so much can change in the editing. And I know you have a passion for editing as well and love doing that. And yeah, I probably would go with Dune. I'm not even sure what I'd say after Dune because like most of these other ones don't really jump out to me for editing. But
Yeah. I haven't seen Tick Tick Boom, haven't seen King Richard, so I can't really speak on those. I have a feeling I wouldn't like Tick Tick Boom because it's very like musical
sure,
esque, I think. But yeah, I'd probably give it to Dune because I'm not a big fan of Power of the Dog, and that's actually a movie that I think could be fixed in the editing.
oh, interesting. Okay,
Like maybe I don't know exactly because I would have to sit and watch it again and be like, oh
yeah,
no, you needed that, you needed that.
yeah,
But I'll say this though, one thing I heard about Don't Look Up is a lot of people criticize the editing in it,
uh,
and I don't know if it's exactly that. All of Adam McKay's films have that handheld, jerky, weird, zip zap zoom kind of editing to it. And so I think the way to look at it though is that it's not that the editing's bad, it's that Adam McKay is bad. I don't like him. I think he's the epitome of smug Hollywood that like, let me tell you how to really look at this issue. I really don't like it. And I know his approach from back in his comedy days was to just put the camera on somebody and let him riff and do like 10, 15 different takes, pick the best one, and then move on,
yeah.
which is kind of a fun approach, but I'm also getting really sick of that.
Kind of a lazy approach, right?
Yeah, I'm tired of the improvised uh,
Yeah,
construction of a movie because, and that's an issue with what's his face too, 40-year-old virgin. You'll think of his name if I don't first, but
yeah.
um,
This kind of
yeah, all the comedy then has this same feeling. Every single character and actor is like, you know, like reinforcing the joke I just said that was
Yeah,
like kind of gross, kind of sexual, kind of, I don't know, like, how do you feel about it? It's like, yes,
yeah.
and
It's kind of like winking at the audience.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
just really sick of that. And so anyway, somebody pointed out that Don't Look Up is constructed through the edit. There's so much material that you just pick whatever you want and
yeah,
smush it together, so it'll cut to like a shaky camera, and then it'll cut over to him the walking talking scene, where
yeah,
then like statistics will go up nearby his head, like, see, we
yeah.
wrote it on the screen, so it must be well researched. And
Yeah,
I hate Don't Look Up. I've softened on it a little bit
yeah,
because I like rewatched it just to make sure. But yeah, I
yeah.
really don't like Adam McKay, and I don't like that style. But I
What,
wouldn't blame the editing. I'd say the editing saves it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I Adam McKay is interesting to me because I feel like he has some cool performances in his movies. I like his actors more than I like his movies and him.
Yeah,
Like that one where Christian Bale's Dick Cheney. I just like love him as Dick Cheney. Just like he's like,
sure.
oh, another heart attack, and like he's just great
Yeah,
in it. But but yeah, like I really the Adam McKay stuff. And Don't Look Up is interesting because I I originally liked it, like I just saw it by myself and I was like, oh, this is, whatever. I just took it for what it was, and it made me laugh. And I like
yeah,
the I like seeing main characters as astronomers. I'm like, this is cool. I like the NASA side of things, um,
yeah.
and then I started hearing more about it as the movie got out, and then I heard like, oh, this is our generation's Doctor Strangelove, and I was like, wait a second, like
Calm down.
hold the fucking phone.
Yeah,
Definitely not that. And
yeah,
I like what you just said too about like the improv thing, but without structure. And what's so fascinating about Doctor Strangelove is Kubrick is obviously a very structured director,
yeah.
notoriously structured.
Sometimes perhaps a bit too much, but yeah,
Right, exactly. But on Doctor Strangelove, he had Peter Sellers, one of the greatest comedic actors of all time, and he was supposed to play 4 roles, ended up breaking his leg, ended up playing 3 roles, but he would just be improving the whole time and just
yeah.
cracking up Kubrick. But it's really fascinating because he was like improving in a controlled way that then fit into a larger structure, which is really cool. So he kind of like married both of the two together.
Well, that's because Peter Sellers is a genius
Right.
improviser. Like,
Yeah.
not everybody can improvise.
And Stanley Kubrick's a genius director and knows how to take that and work with it. Where Adam McKay is just not doing any of these things.
Right. Well, and another interesting aspect of that is, yeah, you brought up the Dick Cheney role by Christian Bale. I was really excited for that because I was like, holy shit, he's going to kill it in the body transformation.
Yeah.
But then it just devolved into the jokey nonsense that Adam McKay always does.
Right.
And then it immediately made me be like, oh, if you had given this movie to somebody else,
Like Fincher or
it could
someone.
have been like amazing. And yeah, you're right. He gets amazing actors and they do a good job, but
Yeah.
it's just like they all like, how the hell do you have Meryl Streep in your movie and she's just like, oh, she's really phoning it in.
Yeah, I just telling terrible jokes. I really
Yeah, it
liked Leo. I thought this was one of Leo's cool performances.
was
I
a
think
little
what
different for him, which is something I appreciated.
yeah.
He made out with the woman about his age,
Yeah, but
which
I
is
like
nice.
I think he just brings like um a very serious like urgency to the whole movie. Like without his role, the whole movie falls apart really. Like he's just going through the whole thing, and I don't know. I think he was my favorite part about it. But yeah, it is interesting. I would like to see Adam McKay go study directing more.
Go back to school a bit.
But I don't know.
I'll
I,
say this though, he is producing that show Winning Time on HBO
yeah, the
about the
basketball.
Lakers. I
Yeah,
like that.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
The weird talk to break the fourth wall, jerky editing thing kind of works for that.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. I'll have to check that
So
out. I did want to make one more comment, but on this
sure.
category before we switch.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of time the Oscars get it wrong. This is like pretty famous one in the last 5 years or so was
Mhm.
Bohemian Rhapsody won this category a few years ago. And it was just like ripped apart for like having the shittiest editing ever. Like there's one scene where like Freddy's going to like lunch and the editing is just like all over the place. It's just like it's so
Yeah,
bad.
I
Like
think I remember that.
they edit it before he even finishes the sentence, and they're like, "This was nominated and then it won." Like what?
Yeah.
So it
No,
was,
that's a great example of a movie that I only kind of enjoyed similarly because the acting on the main character's part was pretty good.
yeah.
And I like Queen. So I was like, cool. But the movie's terrible.
I can't watch the movie because every time I try to like think about a Freddie Mercury movie, I think of the Sacha Baron Cohen one that we should have
Uh,
had. That would
yeah,
have been amazing.
that's a great example of like what could have been if it
Yeah,
wasn't this silly
yeah.
bullshit.
Did you see the Elton John biography, by the way?
Yeah,
And I thought that was really cool.
that was
Like
way better.
it went into a lot darker tones, and he's in rehab and stuff.
Well, a little more surreal.
Yeah, I wanted to see that with Freddie because Freddie is such a bombastic person and on and off stage. Like it just is crazy that like the band of Queen like stops us from having this movie. It's some bullshit. But anyway.
The one scene in it where they come up with the stomp clap. They're like, wait a minute. Boom, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. And then somebody
Yeah.
runs over to the base. And you're just like, that's
Well,
not how
I
they
heard,
wrote that. I
like,
guarantee
so
you that's not how they wrote that.
I heard originally, Sacha Baron Cohen has this amazing script. He would have just killed it as Freddie. He looks
Yeah.
like him and just an incredible actor. And then he took the script to Queen and they wanted to rewrite the script where Freddie dies in the middle of the movie. And it's like, well, what's after that? It's like, well, the band just carries on. It's like the rest of the band is not as interesting as Freddie Mercury's life. We want to see.
No, we follow the guitar player as he becomes a physicist.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's like, man, and like, the stomp clamp, it's like, that's not interesting. We want to see Freddie's like crazy orgy parties and just like doing all this stuff. Like,
if they framed it like they actually did it, maybe it would be interesting, but it's just like it's too like Disney movie, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm one more thing on Don't Look Up.
Okay.
Is it's about climate change, right?
Yeah.
Some people thought it was about COVID, but it's like, nah, it was in production, like, and got held up because of COVID happening. It's not really about COVID. It could be a little bit about just the public's reaction to bad things that are happening, but it's pretty clearly climate change to me.
Yeah. I think
and that's what bothered me about it, is it's like it got put through this smug Hollywood, isn't this funny?
Right.
Like lens that it's so easy for people that are maybe turned off to doing anything about climate change. Like it's so easy for them to be like, another dumb Hollywood comedy. It's like, I don't have to take that seriously. And it's just like, maybe you're never going to reach that guy. And it probably is a guy. But it's just like, I don't know. It just like, you're not helping. You're just making more of a weird
I think
mug
so.
division.
I really wish Adam McKay like had any subtlety as a director. Like any other director, I feel like could have just knocked this out of the park and could have done such a better movie. And one of the things I did kind of like about it is a lot of scientists seem to like it, and I like like that aspect of it. And
it has some good stuff. It's just those are my frustrations that
I agree. I think
makes me think it shouldn't even be nominated for anything.
It's always frustrating too when there's movies like that are like have good elements and then they're just like get held back for whatever reason. It's like the potential was here and then it just like hit there and it's just like dang,
With that, I'm gonna go run and get another cup of coffee. I'm really feeling it.
Sure.
So I'll edit here and I'll be right back. All right, I am back.
All right.
With that, we're going to move on to the next award. This is Best Costume Design. That's a fun one. The nominees are Nightmare Alley, Cruella, West Side Story, 2021, Dune and Serrano. Haven't even heard of that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Seen 3 of these. I'm just gonna go ahead and say Dune.
It seems we have a pattern this award show already.
A little bit.
I would probably say, usually Guillermo like crushes this category. He's got all these great costumes. I feel like the costumes in Nightmare Alley, they're okay. They could have been a bit more,
Yeah.
intricate. I think Cruella might sneak up and steal this award, maybe. I haven't seen it, but from what I've hear some of the stuff I've seen in the costumes, but yeah, I'd probably say either Dune or Nightmare Alley. I'd hope to win.
Well, it seems like all of the other 4 movies are like they did a great job, but it's kind of like period piece,
Right.
kind of like, oh yeah, this is what they wrote in the 1940s.
One cool thing about Dune as well is the costumes and the designs actually inform the story, where they have the water suit and all these cool things, and then there's the different houses and they look so different. And I always think it's cool when like sci-fi stuff, when trying to make things that like don't look like anything that like might be on Earth or whatever. Like you're trying to do some sci-fi stuff where you're like, oh, if you could just make any armor or shirts or like something that just looked crazy and weird. I like that kind of stuff. So
yeah. And I think that there is kind of a bit of a genius to the simplicity of Dune's costumes, but they have a practical function about them that like makes it work. And like just how creepy they can make the drawing a blank on the bad guys, the Harkonnens.
Yeah, the Harkonnens.
Yeah, like it's very simplistic in how it's done, but still really creepy, like his really long robe as he like floats around. And
I saw a cool meme the other day you might appreciate, where it was like the guitarist from Mad Max who's like for Fury Road, who's like going crazy, and then he's like in a new band with the singing Harkonnen guys, like
oh no, yeah, that's like might be one of my favorite scenes of that whole movie.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like just what the hell kind of military blood ritual is this?
That's freaking awesome. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great point. They the Dune clothes and stuff, they feel like very lived in. Like this is just what they wear. It doesn't feel like a costume, which is cool. So
yeah, that's kind of why it just overwhelmingly wins that category to me, as it's like, and I would actually be bothered if it didn't win it.
Yeah, I really hope Dune just kind of sweeps a lot of these like other categories, and then I don't know if it'll do well in the bigger categories, but
we'll get there.
Yeah.
We're not done with the Dune.
Sure. I think it deserves a lot of praise, and Oscars historically aren't nice to sci-fi, and 2001 Kubrick was never really even nominated too much, and anyway, I'd love to see sci-fi do well.
I'll go back down to best sound and say Dune for sure, now that you mentioned the voice box military guy.
Yeah,
like that was just really great.
Yeah,
and
that's what Don't Look Up was missing, a throat box guy.
Yeah, they need a throat box guy working for the president, as we all know he does.
Yeah.
And then if you haven't, go to YouTube and look up like Dune voice box or like techno version.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of different remixes that people did where it's like a rave and he's like like whatever. But moving along.
Yeah. Okay.
Best cinematography.
Awesome.
The nominees are Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story 2021, Dune, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this might be a category where we start to diverge a little bit, and I would like to say, I love the Oscars, like I mentioned with the Super Bowl thing. We usually like to do the Oscar ballots, and we have like an Oscar party, and we try to all vote and guess and have fun like that. But I like to do two different things when I'm doing the ballot. I try to do like one that I want to win, and then I always try to think of like one that I think will actually win. So there's kind of two different things, and this might be one where we kind of start to deviate a bit for that. So I really think Power of the Dog might win here, which is gonna be interesting to see what you think of that. And then, but I'd love to see. I hope Dune or Nightmare Alley actually wins it. I really like this Greg Fraser guy who just did Dune and Batman. I think he's really badass, and I always love seeing new cinematographers like on the scenes. It's one of my favorite film things, cinematography. So I really hope he wins for Dune. But
Yeah. I think even West Side Story had really good cinematography. I couldn't finish that movie because I can't stand that musical, but can't speak on Tragedy of Macbeth. I actually won't fight you that much on Power of the Dog. I think Power of the Dog is boring as all hell and I don't care about it. But one thing I will say is that it looks really pretty.
yeah,
I can't knock it for that. I think that was one of the things that actually kept me
yeah.
engaged on some level.
I love the landscape shots where it's just looking at, the world. I just thought that was
Yeah.
great. And I love Westerns, so I like that kind of stuff. But
That being said, I don't remember any shots from it. I just remember it being particularly pretty. But like Nightmare Alley, another movie I really didn't like, bored me to tears. It's gorgeous, and I remember shots.
yeah,
And yeah, so I think Nightmare Alley already beats out Power of the Dog, two very boring movies to me. But yeah, if I was watching one or the other for cinematography purposes, Nightmare Alley,
okay.
easy. And I liked Power of the Dog more than Nightmare Alley as far as a plot.
Okay.
But it, like, I'm not trying to fanboy on this, but like Dune, like they're telling a story with the cinematography as well as like the suits and everything else too.
Yeah.
Like the way it would shoot the sand flowing in the air
Yeah.
and
The way like the
the
spice would
spice.
kind of crackle and you
Yeah.
see it, and then yeah, there's so many different sets and stuff too, and so many colors. Like when he's putting his hand in the box and the blacks and the grays of
Oh yeah.
their home world, and then with the crazy oranges and colors of the new planet. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love the colors of it too, because again, it was like colors in a sci-fi movie you don't really see too often. It was like a weird sci-fi, and again, it goes with the story without the computers and all this stuff too. But like, I just love the colors of like the little bug flying, like dragonfly airplane helicopter thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, very beautiful movie. I saw it in 4K at the theater, or in IMAX, I mean, and man, it was just stunning to watch that.
Yeah.
One question I'm curious about too, I think this is, I guess not a question first, but I'll say this is a really solid category this year. I think, I need to watch West Side Story and Macbeth, but they both seem very beautiful.
Yeah.
I think this might be one of the strongest categories of the whole show. I think all these movies, like, very pretty and very well done.
Yeah.
I'm
West Side
curious.
Story, it was nice to see Spielberg kind of directing more again, because like I don't really give him a lot of credit for Ready Player One.
There was a clip on Twitter that's been kind of going around recently about West Side Story, just showing how awesome a director Spielberg is. And it was the
Mhm.
shot, it was like the really long shot when they first get to the ball and they're like all dancing, and it just follows like this whole thing. And it was this one take. It was really cool, like kind of crane shot or whatever, but
Yeah.
just really awesome. But I'm curious about, might as well ask you now. You're a pretty big Guillermo fan like me usually. Do you think Nightmare Alley is the first really Guillermo movie where you've kind of had like such this visceral reaction where you didn't really like it as much as his other films? Or I'm just
No, I think I after watching it, I was like, I didn't like that.
uh-huh.
And then I was like, we can actually do this real quick.
Okay.
Guillermo Del Toro. Oh man. Stupid autocorrect.
Yeah, I'll say real quick while
Yeah,
you're
keep talking about it while I look
um,
this up.
sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna say like he's one of my favorite directors. I love Wes Anderson, Chris Nolan. So a lot of these directors, I usually like all their movies. I don't think there's, my favorite director is really a movie I don't like. So
Hmm.
I like Nightmare Alley. It was probably the one that I've had the kind of the weirdest reaction to as well, where it like I don't know, the ending and stuff didn't
Yeah.
really sit with me, but for a minute. But
All
anyway,
right. So what occurred to me is I was like, well, let me look at his filmography.
sure.
And what I realized, and I think I've said this to you before, is that I love Guillermo del Toro as a person, as the I like how he views film and the
Uh,
symbolism within it and all those things. Like his WTF episode with Mark Maron is really great.
oh, cool.
If you
Yeah.
haven't listened to that. But then I looked at his movies and I realized the only movie of his that I like love, is Pan's Labyrinth.
Mhm.
Now, to be fair, I haven't seen Kronos. Mimic, he doesn't really take a lot of ownership of it, does he?
Yeah, not the original. There is a director's
So,
cut that he
yeah.
loves now.
All right. Maybe I would try that out because I never saw that. But Devil's Backbone, I still haven't seen. So there is that segment
Yeah.
that I'm like, I don't know. Blade 2, it's pretty cool. Hellboy, didn't like it. Hellboy 2, didn't like 1. So why would I watch the second one? Pacific Rim, I don't give a shit. Crimson Peak, didn't like it. Bored me to tears. The Shape of Water, I did like, but it was kind of weird and I don't feel any need to revisit it. So then after that's Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Pan's Labyrinth, though, like that blew my
Yeah.
mind. I
I'm really
loved it.
curious to. I can't wait for you to watch Kronos and The Devil's Backbone specifically because they're his other kind of Spanish movies. I think The Devil's Backbone. I like it just as much as Pan's Labyrinth. It's very different, and Guillermo
Mhm.
usually says that's like his favorite movies. Devil's Backbone. It's like his most personal one that kind of
Yeah.
connects with him. And yeah, I need to watch Mimic again. The director's cut. Um, and then he's got this new Pinocchio coming out, his first stop motion movie, which I'm very curious. Apparently, it's about Pinocchio, but it's during Italian fascism.
Right, right.
So, and I love the puppet designs so far. They seem pretty dark. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how this goes. But yeah, that's interesting.
I think I had discussed it on a podcast. I can't remember where or when, but I will just say real quick that it was a hypothetical question that Patrice O'Neill brought up on
uh,
O&A back in the day, where he's just like, when actors, he was talking more specifically about actors, but he was like, how many movies do you give an actor after they've done something awesome? And he used Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction as an example.
yeah,
It's like, how long do you let them get away with shit until like you're like, wait a minute, you're like, you're not that great. Like, but like for a while, you're like, Samuel L. Jackson, I'm gonna see it. Pulp Fiction, baby.
yeah.
And it's like I kind of feel that way with Guillermo. I'm
Uh,
like, I believed he was one of my favorites because of Pan's Labyrinth. But when I went and revisited it, I was like, I don't, you know what? I don't think I really connect with him in his
yeah,
movies as much as I thought I did.
yeah, yeah.
But because of his passion, and I do see where he's coming from
Mhm.
when he makes stuff, um, I'm always hoping that there will be another one that really clicks with me, but
That's cool. Yeah, yeah.
maybe in the Mountain of Madness or something
Uh,
like that, if he finally gets that done.
for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited to chat more once you see Devil's Backbone and Chronos specifically.
And maybe we watch it. I don't know.
Sounds good. All
But
right, cool.
anyway, we'll move right along here. I knew cinematography was going to be kind of a bigger one.
Sure.
Best short documentary:
So,
When We Were Bullies, The Queen of Basketball, Three Songs for Benazir, Audible, Lead Me Home. This is not. I'm not a giant fan of documentaries. I feel like documentaries really twist things towards a certain perspective a lot of the time. Not that they aren't good. It's just I kind
yeah,
of don't like my emotions being played with to feel a certain way about a story.
yeah, they're very hard to make, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I watched The Octopus Teacher, which won a year or two back.
Okay.
That wasn't a short, that was just a documentary, but it's like the it was really cool, but at the same time, the way this guy was telling his story, and it was just overly dramatic, and like,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, all right, man, calm down. It's like it's a really cool octopus, and like,
Yeah.
and I get it. Maybe you felt that way about it, but I
You're
don't
like
know.
Jacob Wayne's up there giving an award for the really cool octopus movie.
Yeah, like give this award to the octopus, not the guy.
I'd actually watch that ceremony. It's like 2 hours of the octopus trying to get to the stage to like
Just slowly, everybody's like, come on,
yeah.
come on.
I
But
would
I don't
like
have any strong opinions on that.
so
Like, I like Tiger King for documentaries, like shit that's just ridiculous.
so yeah, I got a few comments on this real quick.
Sure.
So first of all the short films, they're it's always hard to find the short movies and watch all of them. So I actually haven't seen any short film this year yet. I will say, like, making documentaries, I think, is very hard. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But I think this could possibly be the hardest category of the whole show is like documentary short. It's so hard to make a short film, and then about a documentary, I think, is even more challenging. And I got some experience with the documentary categories this year because I actually made a documentary in the summer about the theater in Salt Lake here I'm trying to save. It was started out to be 20 minutes. It ended up being an hour and a half. And I think the hardest part about doing documentaries is the editing. Because if you're doing a subject about anything, you're gonna have like dozens and dozens, sometimes hundreds of hours of footage, especially on historical topics and things.
Yeah.
Just so much to cut through and try to edit. You could literally make like 20 different movies that would be so different about the same subject just based on what stuff you choose. So I think it's really hard to
I think that's probably why it's so hard to avoid it having a pointed emotional bias, because you are sifting through so much footage and you're like, well, what's the story here? What's the emotion that I can pull out of this?
Documentaries could possibly be better and more like a Ken Burns style, where it's like a limited series. It's like 10 or 15 hours.
I love those. Yeah.
Like the Beatles documentary this year, he had like 60 hours of footage, and they were originally trying to cut it down to 2 hours. And he's like, this is impossible. It's like, fuck it. Like, we'll make it 8 hours because like I don't want to cut any of this awesome footage,
This is short documentary. That didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that.
I did too.
And I mean, especially having been in a band, I could see why it would be boring.
Yeah. I was
at a certain point, but yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so like I have no really opinions on any of these documentary shorts. I don't even know what any of these are this year.
What do you think was one of the best documentaries you ever saw that didn't like manipulate your emotions? It was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is, the subject.
One of my favorite documentaries that I saw was when I was at Sundance in 2014 as a volunteer. I just saw a ton of movies, but I saw the documentary about Roger Ebert. And I really loved that documentary. Before I saw it, I kind of had like a love-hate thing with Robert Ebert, and I'm like, fuck this guy. He's always like kind of an asshole critic. And then I watched the movie, and maybe it did play with my emotions, but I was like, man, this guy's just fucking cool. And it's like 3 or 4 hours long. So I just really I love like all this, how much he loves cinema and movies, and it just kind of made me fall in love with movies again. And that's kind of the documentary that comes to the top of my head.
We'll move right along because we are running out of time. We could really go off on documentaries in another episode or something. So I'm gonna speed through some of these lesser ones so we can get to the big ones, the big name tickets. Best animated short film. The nominees are Robin, Affairs of the Art, Beast, The Windshield Wiper, Box Ballot. Seen any of them?
Nope, but I'm sure they're cool. So
so go try to see them. I will try myself. Best original score: Encanto, Dune, Madres Pareillas, Don't Look Up, The Power of the Dog.
So I love the music in Dune. I'm a huge Hans Zimmer fan. I thought he was like, Hans Zimmer is usually like kind of in your face in a good way. It's like very bombastic with like the Brahms and like Inception or whatever. And But I thought this was such a cool score for him. He was a lot more subtle, and like there was parts where like the music it was there, but I didn't like kind of notice it, and it was like a
Yeah.
lot more underneath the layers, which I was
More
like, oh,
ethereal.
yeah. So I think Hans like kind of pushed out of his wheelhouse a bit more, and it doesn't sound like a normal Hans Zimmer score. I think he's easily going to win this one.
Uh,
But
I'll be honest, that didn't stand out to me as much as some of his other scores.
okay, yeah.
Like it's not that I didn't like it, I liked it, but the bagpipe thing was interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um has he won this before?
That's a good question. Let me look it up real quick. I
Because
feel
if he
like,
hasn't, then that might be one of these honorary ones,
yeah,
which
he's
isn't the best way to do it, in my opinion.
yeah,
That's kind of what I feel like Shape of Water was.
yeah,
They
he's
just wanted to give him something because he's so like passionate and
yeah.
unique.
That's one of the problems I have with the Academy Awards. A lot of it's political, but I mean,
Hmm.
most of it's like political. Like it's not really doesn't really say what the best film and stuff of the year is, because sometimes the best movies often don't win. It looks like he won for Lion King for original
Wow,
score.
but that's that far back.
I'm trying to see. Yeah, it looks like
Okay.
he hasn't won since. I'm sure he's been nominated a lot.
Shit. Well, maybe he should get it then. He should have won for Dark Knight.
Yeah. Oh,
Probably Interstellar too, maybe. It depends on what his competition was. I think this is another one where the Batman should win next year
oh, totally. I
because
can't
that
wait
really
to
made
see
me feel stuff.
how the Batman does, and I think that Batman's going to be in a lot of these award categories. It looks like Hans has been nominated 12 times for Academy Awards,
Mhm.
and yeah, he hasn't won since Lion King, so I think he'll
Wow.
probably win this one for
Yeah.
reasons.
I
So
know a lot of people love Encanto. I haven't seen that yet,
yeah, I
but
liked it a lot.
maybe.
I watched it the other day, but
And if they're just nominating Benedict Cumberbatch just playing the banjo aggressively, like threateningly,
yeah,
as the
intimidating.
original score, then maybe Power of the Dog. That was like my favorite part of that movie.
The
She's trying
banjo.
to like learn that song on piano and she's so frustrated and then he just starts playing it. She's like, what? And then like looks up into the darkness and he just comes out of the shadows playing banjo.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
like, what's wrong with this guy?
I know. Yeah.
But anyway, best visual effects
Okay.
nominees are Dune, Free Guy, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man, No Way Home, No Time to Die.
Yeah, I think we have a pattern here. I'd love to. I hope Dune wins this. I know a lot of people. The Marvel guy Kevin Feige was really trying to get Spider-Man nominated for all these Oscars this year,
Yeah.
and like it's so funny that like this is the only category Spider-Man's nominated in.
Aren't they doing a thing this year, like on Twitter or whatever? It's like fan picks, like fan
Oh
favorite
yeah,
or something
I
like
think it's
that.
really stupid. Yeah, I don't know what they're
And they're
really.
just trying to get Spider-Man something.
I don't know.
I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen that?
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I
A lot of
like.
people seem to that don't even traditionally really care about
I,
the
I
superhero stuff.
I really liked it. It was really cool to see Tobey Maguire again as Spider-Man. It like was some nostalgia stuff. But the more I think about Batman, the new one, and watch it, the more I don't like Spider-Man. Just because like it was very fan fiction, like or
Yeah.
not, they're just like trying to please the audience. Where Batman's like, this is just here's something that's awesome and have at it. They're
Yeah.
just like trying to like it's kind of fake. They're just trying to hit these emotional buttons, like, oh, here's Tobey Maguire, here's Andrew Garfield. Now they're talking. Isn't this crazy? Like
Yeah.
versus a real story and a plot. But
Well, and I hear they killed my love.
uh,
Spoiler alert.
oh yeah, who's your love?
Marissa Tomei.
Oh yeah, they do kill your love.
Those fucking assholes.
Yeah, you need to write some letters
Oh,
aggressively
I will.
to Marvel.
Listen here, Kevin.
One quick thing I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on this category too is I hope Dune wins because when they're sinking in the sand, I
Yeah.
think we might have talked about this before. I thought it was CGI. That's like a real fucking like earthquake sand thing machine where they're actually sinking. It's like a practical effect. It's like
Oh,
awesome. So like they actually use a lot of practical effects in Dune, which is like again why it should win.
well.
Half of Marvel is all just CGI and green screens and shit. So
Well, damn, maybe. Yeah, Dune just takes it. I was gonna try to be a little more diversifying, but like I was like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings did have a lot of.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I like that
I
movie.
didn't really care for the movie that much, but at least visually it was very
I thought
pretty.
the last half hour was just like really fun, where he's like fucking fighting a dragon, like punching it in the face. And like, I really like the shot where he like flies up and then he's just like flying down like an anime character to like do the death blow. But I
That's
had fun
true.
with it.
Kind
But
of like in every Marvel movie, there's that third act
yeah,
crazy CGI battle.
yeah,
And yeah, it's
yeah.
just like that was one of the better ones.
Shang-Chi actually really surprised me. I think I like it more than Spider-Man just because I think it's a better movie. And like
Mm.
the ending really surprised me where it's just like, oh, I guess our whole little hidden village is being invaded and now there's like this fucking giant dragon fight. I'm like, awesome, and just like when he's flying down, the music's like, oh, la, 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 and it's like I really enjoyed that. But anyway, I'm
To be
sure he's
honest with the Marvel movies, real quick,
yeah,
just I haven't really been into their movies post Endgame.
sure, yeah.
Like there's Eternals, Shang-Chi. I haven't seen Spider-Man yet, so I can't speak on that as I'm missing one. I've been a little more into the
Black
shows.
Black Widow, I think.
Oh, I didn't even bother with that.
Yeah, it's
That
actually
was all bungled.
it's funny because like I'm kind of the same way where I'm like, oh, here's another fucking Marvel movie, I guess. But it's funny because I have like low expectations, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I appreciate the Asian representation of Shang-Chi and all that stands for. But
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about Shang-Chi, so I didn't really know, or like Black Widow. But I was like pleasantly surprised both those movies were like cooler than I thought they were gonna be. So
Yeah. I don't know because I recently, while doing some work at home where I just have to sit on my ass and get it done, I went through all the Marvel movies and I like them. I
yeah,
mean, they're not, it's kind of like a big thing of popcorn. It's not great if you eat it all the time,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, this is fun. But yeah, recently I've been more into the shows like
Oh yeah,
Loki and
yeah.
WandaVision and
I'm
things
really
like
excited
that.
for Moon Knight. I think it's supposed to be coming out tomorrow. I'm a big
This
Moon
is
Knight
tomorrow,
fan.
huh?
Yeah, it's like a crazy Batman, Egyptian Batman. So,
Yeah.
one quick thing on the Marvel thing, I like what you just said too about Endgame because I think
Mhm.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe is pretty. It was I mean, it's a successful experiment. It worked up until Endgame, and then I think post Endgame, it's like, well, what's it going to be now? And I think the Batman just really blew all that up to hell, where they're like, we're gonna keep going with the cinematic universe, and then Batman's like, well, actually, let's just do this fucking awesome art house noir detective thing. And I really hope
Yeah.
like Marvel like pulls their brakes on and like, well, wow, let's actually think about what superhero movies can be because like DC just pushed the barrier way beyond anything Marvel is doing or will be doing in the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think anything will even come close to the Batman unless they like really examine the way they're making these movies.
But that's I kind of want both though.
Yeah,
I like that Marvel is a little more loose, jokey, interconnected, and it is kind of blatantly like, oh, this is our heist movie, but Marvel.
yeah,
And I think the reason I like it is it has kind of become family cinema.
mhm,
Like I go and visit my brother and my niece and stuff, and they're Mormon, I'm not.
right,
And these Marvel films are a little like they push some boundaries, but in general, they're pretty safe.
sure, yeah,
And we can talk about it. And I'll be like, oh, well, did you ever know about this character like back in the day? And when are they going to introduce him? And I
yeah,
think right now they're just trying to decide who's the next big threat that they're building up.
yeah,
And they're like, when do we put in X-Men, Fantastic Four? Is it going to be Doctor Doom? Is it going to be Galactus? I don't know. And I like that that's there.
yeah,
And it's just the thing to check in on. But that's exactly what I think DC should do.
right,
It's just like, no, we're not doing the interconnected thing. And if we are, it's like wink, wink, nod, nod. It's sort of
yeah.
connected, kind of not.
I would really love to see
But yeah,
Marvel
separate.
utilize. Yeah, I agree with you on those points, and I'd love to just see Marvel do like, I just realize that they can do both too. It's like, look, we can have the cinematic universe, but we can also just like now that we have the multiverse, let's just give a cool director like, here's the reins, like go make one movie and just like see it becomes, you know, and like it doesn't have
Sure.
to necessarily be together. Like if Kevin Feige is so adamant about making all these Oscar movies, it's like, well, just let a director run wild who's skilled enough to make awesome movies. That's the way to do it. But
I
anyway,
agree. We've just hit an hour though,
sure.
and we are talking about the Oscars.
All
But I
right.
will say that we were on visual effects, and that's a worthwhile discussion to have. I would say real quick that
Yeah.
maybe that's all Marvel needs to do. Maybe put a little bit of a twist to how they visually present
Uh-huh.
their stories, and maybe even, I don't know, do something a little unusual with your third act. Don't
Yeah.
always have it be a big explosion of colors. And
Yeah.
but I don't know, once again it comes back to the family thing. It's like
Yeah.
these are big colorful spectacles for the whole family to go see, and so
Yeah.
they kind of got to lean into that, I guess. But
Sure.
thank goodness for Batman to actually give it a little more style, something a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not going to rush this just because we hit an hour, but we
Okay.
will move along.
Sure.
Best adapted screenplay. The nominees are The Lost Daughter, Drive My Car, Coda, Dune, The Power of the Dog.
So these are two categories: original screenplay, adapted screenplay, that I love. I write screenplays, so I'm always obsessed with, you know, screenplay writing, and I love to read screenplays. So whenever the awards come out and all the scripts go up, I love to print them out and read them. And I was so excited about, you know, Jojo Rabbit winning. I love Taika Waititi, and these are just categories I have lots of fond emotions to. So for that one, let's see. You know, I'm thinking Power of the Dog is going to win. I think this is going to win. I think the Power of the Dog is going to sweep most of the awards this year, which seems to be the way things are going. Drive My Car, I kind of want that one to win. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. It's
I've
Japanese.
meant to see it, like when I'm needing to sit and work, I'll
Yeah,
throw on movies, but obviously this is subtitled.
yeah.
So too much of my focus is down on what I'm doing.
It's also about
And so
3 hours
I need to
long.
sit and watch it. It's almost 3 hours.
It's about 3 hours. Yeah, it's quite
Um,
long. But
yeah, so I'm not opposed to subtitles. It's just when I've been
right.
able to watch stuff, it's like I can listen and kind of turn away.
Yeah, I really hope this movie wins, just because you know, Japanese, and it's also nominated for Best Picture, which we'll get to. But it's actually the first Japanese movie to ever be nominated for Best
Yeah.
Picture. So
Did you like it a lot?
I did. I really liked it. I turned it on, and I was like almost 2 in the morning. I was like, well, I'll just watch some of this, and it was like, I'm like, oh, it's fucking 3 hours. So
Yeah.
I watched part of it, and then I watched more in the morning. But I really did
Yeah.
like it once I kind of got into it, and
Cool.
I'm excited to. I hope it kind of upsets, and I hope it wins. But
Yeah.
I'll have to see the Japanese.
Have you seen Coda?
I did see Code. I watched that recently. I really liked that a lot. I
What do
didn't.
you like more out of the two? And we'll talk
Um,
more on Best Picture, but
Yeah, sure. I think I like Coda more as a movie, but I really appreciate Drive My Car, the Japanese filmmaking aspects of it.
okay.
Um, just real quick about Coda, I didn't even realize, like, I just barely heard about it. I don't know how I missed Coda this year. I just watched it a few days ago, and it's about a girl who's, you know, with a deaf family, and she's the only one who's not deaf, and she loves singing. And I like to sing and stuff. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Billy Elliot. It's that British movie about the kid who grows up in a rough British household in like the 70s or 80s, and he like loves ballet, and like his whole family is like, you know, it's there's the animosity about this like rough British kid, like a boy who's masculine doing ballet, which
Yeah.
kind of I had a lot of similarities with Coda, which I really love. So it's like, oh, it's like a deaf singing Billy Elliot.
Or it's like October Sky, where Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal wanted to be a
yeah,
rocket guy.
yeah, yeah. So I
Supposed
like,
to be in the mines, boy.
yeah, and you do music and painting, and we both love arts and stuff. So I love like movies where it's like someone finds a love of art and their passion, and like they have to fight against the world or whatever to do it. So
Sure.
I appreciate Code a lot. But yeah, I hope Drive My Car wins this screenplay award.
Yeah. Then again, they did a pretty good job adapting Dune.
Yeah, I feel
But
like you have a
yeah,
favorite movie of the year.
I don't know. I'm maybe with you on, even though I haven't seen it, maybe just for representation's sake, because I feel like Dune's gonna grab a lot of these. So I don't know. I don't have strong opinions on that one, so we'll just move along. Best makeup and hairstyling. You have The Eyes of Tammy Faye, House of Gucci, Coming to America, Dune, Cruella. I'll give
Yeah.
it to Eyes of Tammy Faye. You seen that?
No, I actually haven't seen that. I need to watch it. Did you like that one or?
Yeah, I liked it. Was Jessica Chastain, is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah, Jessica
Yeah,
Chastain.
she did a pretty great job, and her makeup is pretty wild. And everybody else kind of has a general look that's like, yeah, but it's that. I don't know if it should win. I just was trying to not say Dune again.
Yeah,
Coming to America sucked.
yeah, I
Like,
love the original.
I love the original. I love the original.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see Eddie Murphy doing some stuff again, but
Yeah, I'm glad that Louis Anderson could be in it again. I think he was in it, right? Since we just lost him, but
yeah. I would say though that a way better Eddie Murphy movie as of late was a Dolomite.
oh, I love Dolomite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
I
great
watched that like
movie.
3 or 4 times.
Watch that instead. If you
Yeah,
haven't seen Dolomite or Coming to America, like just watch Dolomite.
Dolomite is amazing. One of
Yeah.
Eddie's best movies, I think.
You ever
Love it.
watched any Rudy Ray Moore movies?
No, that guy's pretty interesting.
One time while indulging in a particular type of substance with some friends, we watched Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. Awesome movie. And that's by the dude. I forget his name, but he did Dolomite as well. Rudy Ray Moore.
Yeah. I need
Yeah.
to watch some of his stuff.
Yeah, watch Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law.
Okay, sweet. I will. Yeah, I hope Dune wins the makeup and hairstyling, but I need to see Tammy Faye. I heard that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Really quick line from Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, girl, you're so ugly, you could scare a hungry bulldog off the back of a meat truck. Anyway.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, you should. Best original screenplay. Original, not adapted. The nominees are Don't Look Up, Licorice Pizza. That's the first time we've seen that one on this list. King Richard, Belfast, The Worst Person in the World. Wow. I'm not giving it to Don't Look Up.
Yeah,
So
I don't even
I don't
Look Up should be nominated. I think that's stupid. It was not that good. And
best original screenplay. Just put the camera in front of your actors and let them improvise over and over. Yeah, like, great screenplay.
Again, people are acting like this is Dr. Strangelove 2021, and I'm like, it's not even in the same realm of, any possibility, or like Mel Brooks.
There's nothing close to that scene in Dr. Strangelove where the general's talking about, how we're 80% water. It's like that a weird diatribe he goes off.
Like, gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah.
So, I really like Licorice Pizza. I thought that was cool.
Haven't seen it yet.
I hope that one wins. It's a very chill, vibey movie, and it was very different than Paul Thomas Anderson's other stuff.
I was kind of hoping it would be a return to like Boogie Nights kind of vibe. Do you feel like it is that, or is it pretty different?
It's pretty different. It's kind of like Boogie Nights mixed with what's the other one? Punch Drunk Love, as people were kind of saying. Okay. It's pretty cool. He filmed it in a weird way too, where it's just kind of like flows. It's like a very vibe movie, like a coming of age story. And I love that it had like Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. It was like his first real movie, and he looks exactly like Philip Seymour Hoffman. It was like freaking me out.
Yeah.
But he did a good job, and it was a really cool movie. So
cool. Let's just give it to Licorice Pizza then.
Sweet. Let's do it.
Best documentary feature. Have you seen any of those?
I have not. I'm excited about Summer of Soul. I think that was a movie Questlove's involved with about music and stuff. So
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I
I was.
forgot to read the nominees.
Oh,
Ascension, Flea, Summer of Soul, Riding with Fire, Attica. I'm just gonna give it to Summer of Soul because I love Questlove
yeah. I will
and
say
I
one quick
heard good
thing
things.
about it too. I was curious that, like, it looks like I haven't seen this movie yet, Flea. I was interested that it was nominated in animated and documentary, which is pretty unique. So I'm
Hmm.
curious about that one.
All right. All right. So we're getting into we still got a ways to go. Give me a second here.
Sure, yeah, we can kind of speed up if you need to as well.
Yeah, we probably ought to. So let me just double check a couple things real quick. We'll do a little bit of lightning round on particular ones,
Okay,
unless you really got something to say. But
no, I'm good.
yeah, so we are going to do save best director, best supporting actress, best supporting actor. We're going to save those. International feature film nominees are Flea, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, The Worst Person in the World, Drive My Car, The Hand of God. Pick one real quick. Go.
I think Drive My Car is going to win easy. I don't even know anything about these other ones, so
Yeah, Drive My Car. Boom. Best animated feature: Encanto, Flea, Raya and the Last Dragon, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines. Haven't seen one. Give us your pick.
I really liked Luca and Raya, The Last Dragon. I think Encanto is going to win it, which was also I enjoyed.
Yeah, I think Encanto is probably going to win for the representation aspect. Raya and the Last Dragon, I kind of would be a nice little underdog, but yeah.
Mhm.
Next one, live action short film, The Long Goodbye, Please Hold, The Dress, Known, On My Mind. Haven't seen any of them.
I haven't seen any of these either. Can't really comment. I'm sure
Yep.
it's cool.
Best original song, No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. Somehow You Do, Diane Warren. Down to Joy, Van Morrison. Dos Oruguiatas. Dos Oruguiatas. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Be Alive, Beyonce, and Dixon.
Yeah, I was surprised that, like, there's a kind of popular song, We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto that people have been liking. I think it was like number one on stuff. So
Yeah,
it's interesting that it didn't get nominated, but I bet Encanto will probably win this category.
I'm gonna go with Billie Eilish. I thought that was a really good Bond
Yeah, I think
song,
that
and since
uh,
Bond songs are such a tradition that it's
yeah.
also a little farewell to the Daniel Craig era. With that, we're gonna go back a little bit. So, best supporting actress. The nominees are Kristen Dunst, Jessie Buckley, Judi Dench for Belfast. Sorry, Kirsten Dunst is for Power of the Dog. Jessie Buckley is for The Lost Daughter. Ariana DeBose for West Side Story 2021. Anjanou Ellis for King Richard.
Yeah, so I've only seen Power of the Dog and King Richard. I'm kind of hoping Kirsten Dunst wins this. I thought she was cool on Power of the Dog, but I'm really not sure about these other people. I like Judi Dench too, but yeah, I don't know who's gonna
Yeah, I
win.
can't really speak on it. I've been wanting to see King Richard in Belfast.
Mhm.
From what I hear, The Lost Daughter isn't really for me, so I'll see it eventually. Um, West Side Story, like I said, I turned it off. Like, don't care. So yeah, Kirsten Dunst. Maybe it's her time.
Mhm.
Best supporting actor: Troy Kotsur for Coda, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, Cody Smith McPhee, The Power of the Dog, Clarin Hines, Belfast.
Yeah, so for this one, I'm thinking it's probably gonna be Cody Smith McPhee for Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
But I do like Meth Damon, Jesse Plemons. I was, I thought it was cool he was nominated. So
it's cool he's nominated, but what does he do in that movie?
I don't know, but
Like,
it's probably a lot longer.
he's such a like, well, I got married, like what? He's just being Jesse Plemons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
What thoughts
I'll
for the
say Troy
category?
Kotzer.
Okay.
I haven't even seen it, but that seems like a bit of a
Oh,
representative.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's a deaf actor. He actually did a great job too. I thought it was cool. He was nominated.
yeah, I'll give it
So
to him because I wasn't impressed with Power of the Dog.
okay.
But haven't seen Being Ricardo's or Belfast, so I'm not sure on those two. With that, we get into Best Actress. Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Penelope Cruz for Madres Parallels. Parallels? It's like parallel
Yeah,
mothers.
so yeah, Parallel Mothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter. Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos.
hmm
What do you think?
Um, I've only seen Being the Ricardos. I need to catch up on some of these movies. But I've heard great things about Jessica Chastain and The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Seems like she'll probably win this one this year.
Yeah, she gave me the creeps and like a really good, like she's just that weird, hyper happy Christian that like talks through puppets and yeah, it disturbed me in a good way.
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of these other ones. I hear Nicole Kidman's probably gonna get it
Hmm.
just because it's a little bit of like she's been around a long time, hasn't gotten
Yeah,
nope.
for
Maybe
politics
she got a
especially.
supporting once, but
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like she has one before,
hmm.
maybe like After Hours or
If you
something.
want to look that one up real quick.
Yeah, yeah, I'll check it out.
But yeah, for my personal taste, I haven't seen these other ones. I'd just say Jessica Chastain, but might
Okay.
not be people's favorites. Um, Best Actor, Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom. And a quick little side note, Andrew Garfield's really great in The Eyes of Tammy Faye as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Will Smith for King Richard, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Benedict's gonna win this one. He seems to be kind of sweeping the awards other way places and
Hmm.
stuff. Let's see. This category is really nothing's really picking, I like Benedict in the movie, but none of these other really roles really jump out at me as like being really incredible this year.
Have
I
you
thought,
seen King Richard?
yeah, I did. I thought he did a good job. It's actually one of the better Will Smith's performances I think in a while.
That's kind of
Uh,
what I've been hearing. Is this is going to
yeah,
be one of those? Here's our chance to give Will Smith
yeah,
something.
he did do really well. It's probably his best role in like 10 years, really.
Well, and we know how he is. He fucks off for another 10 years doing silly shit.
I hope he just gets up there and starts rapping some of his old rap
Ha
songs.
ha ha
Jiggy with it. I
ha.
still haven't seen Denzel in Tragedy of Macbeth. I love Denzel, but yeah, imagine Benedict's gonna win this, either him or Will Smith, I think, probably.
Somebody did point out that while Denzel's great, he's done like Shakespeare and theater for such a long time that this is an example of it's like it's so in his wheelhouse that it's like how much do you really want to give him credit for it
Mhm.
kind of thing, which I thought was kind of an interesting perspective. But
Yeah.
um
Oh,
I'm
real.
gonna I'm gonna
Oh,
guess that they're gonna give it to Will Smith
okay.
because I wasn't that impressed with Benedict Cumberbatch. um I don't
Okay.
know, he was kind of goofy to me in The Power of
Yeah.
the Dog, to be honest.
I was just gonna say I looked up the Nicole Kidman. She did win an Oscar for The Hours,
Oh,
Best Actress
did you
2000.
ever see that?
I did not. I need to
If
see
it's the
that.
one I think it is, I think it's where it's like it's kind of like a haunting and she has like her dead kids coming back to talk to her, but it
Oh
ends up
yeah,
being all about her
yeah.
being in purgatory. It's weird. The
Yeah,
twist is odd because of the purgatory thing, and
I'll
it
have to check
does kind
it
of
out.
ruin it. But I
Okay.
don't know. I'll give it some credit. It's at least kind of creative. But anyway, last two spots. And I saved this one. This came up way earlier, but
Sure.
best director. Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. Hope I said that right. Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza. Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. And Steven Spielberg for West Side Story 2021. Wow. I've heard this too. I feel like they screwed up on this one. There should have been people nominated.
Yeah, the one of the big upsets was Denis Villeneuve for Dune.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Which honestly, out of, I don't know, maybe it is just going to get so many awards on the smaller stuff that, maybe that was their thinking. But if there was one award I was going to give, it was going to be to him for Best Director.
Directed the shit out of Dune.
Because that's such a difficult task.
Yeah. And again, like with the budget, he made it look like a whole different movie just such creative things they were doing there. I think
you think they're doing a Peter Jackson thing?
Yeah, I think he should have been nominated over probably Kenneth Branagh for Belfast.
Maybe they're just saving it for part 2, or he might do the trilogy and end it with Dune Messiah.
I think this is also, just shows that like historically, especially in directing, with sci-fi movies, the Oscars just always hate this category. They've hated Kubrick for a long time. Chris Nolan always gets snubbed for directing, and he's a wonderful director. And I think Denis is just another example that he should have absolutely been nominated.
Who do you think it's going to go to?
I really think Jane Campion is going to win it for Power of the Dog. But I honestly would really like the Japanese Hamaguchi.
Ryosuke.
Drive My Car. I think.
Which movie did you like more, The Power of the Dog or Drive My Car?
That's a good question. I like Power of the Dog a lot. I think like Drive My Car, I'm just so excited it's like getting all this attention. And I think that's a harder movie to direct. Like, I guess you have to see it, but it's like 3 hours and it's like really complex. I think it's a harder movie to make than Power of the Dog, but I'm just excited that he's getting nominated. And again, lots of love to Japanese cinema for sure. So
is Paul Thomas won?
Not for directing, I don't think. I don't know if he's actually even won any Academy Awards. I think he might have run for screenwriting. Let me look that up too.
I feel like Boogie Nights won some stuff, but I can't remember. But yeah, I don't know. From what I hear, since I haven't seen it, I don't think Licorice Pizza is the one to give him the award for. But
I think he'd probably win for the screenplay. Well, he's been nominated 11 times, hasn't won any Academy Awards. Paul Thomas.
I hope they don't just like give him one just because of all that.
I really think he'll win Best Screenplay. Honestly, I think he's the one to beat. So
it probably is going to go to Power of the Dog on this one.
Yeah.
Because Steven Spielberg, I want him to get another one, but not for just remaking a musical. I think it should be for
he's still
really good Spielberg stuff.
He's probably got some other crazy movies up his sleeve still.
I hope so.
A few more. So
I miss that Spielberg vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway, last category, and then we're going to call it good, and then we'll do a follow-up episode.
All right, great.
Best Picture. The nominees are Nightmare Alley, Dune, Belfast, The Power of the Dog, King Richard, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Licorice Pizza, West Side Story 2021, Coda.
So I think again, Power of the Dogs, I think is gonna win Best Picture. If there's some upsets, I don't even know what would upset it, honestly. I don't feel like there's really anything that's
gonna be Coda.
Yeah, it might be Coda, but I would really be surprised by that, honestly. I would like to
maybe Belfast. I've heard a little steam picking up on that one.
Yeah.
But that would be an upset, I think.
I think so too. I'm not sure. I'd love to see Dune win for sure. I really love Dune, and I'd love to see Drive My Car win again, just because I think it'd be cool.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If Drive My Car won, would that be like an eye roll a little bit? Like, oh, they're just giving it to foreign films now to seem like they're, being diverse in the Oscars. It would kind of come across as cynical.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be. I guess I don't
Not
view
that there's anything wrong with doing that
it.
more
I,
often, but seeing
I
as how wasn't it last year that was
or maybe
uh
2 years ago, right?
Parasite?
Yeah, Parasite. 'Cause, yeah,
Was that
when
last year or the year before?
I don't know, pandemics messed up my time.
Yeah, dude, isn't it 2019?
Uh, let's see if we can find it real quick.
While you're looking that up, I'll tell a quick little story speaking on that.
Sure.
The night of New Year's Eve 2020, we had like a really fun party here and we're all getting fucked up, and I had this all my playlists kind of, and we were going through the decades. Like we went from the 80s to the 90s to the
Uh-huh.
2000s to the 2010s, and like it wasn't even music I was that into. It was just like what were the most popular songs. And then everybody knows like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And this all of us had this sense like, yeah, this decade it's gonna be unique. Like let's go. Like let's get this going. This last
Yeah,
decade sucked.
yeah.
Like fuck Trump, all this other shit, blah blah blah. And then I think right into January there was the horrible forest fires in Australia.
All
I
right.
did a koala pet portrait just as a fundraiser, like
Yeah.
almost immediately after that.
Yeah.
And then Kobe passed away. And after that, it was just, it's just like, and it's so insane that I think we're about 12 days past when the pandemic really kicked into high gear 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, of course, as that's kind of going down, Putin decides to be
Yeah.
Putin.
It really feels like a decade in like 2 years, some weird
Yeah,
like.
it's so nuts.
Um,
Like, anyway.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just looking it up. Nomadland was last year, and then Parasite was the
Right.
year before.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought it was amazing, like hearing that this is the first Japanese film to ever be directed for Best Picture, just because I love
Is it good enough to beat all of those movies, though? You've seen most of
Uh,
those.
yeah, I've seen most of them. I think the only ones I haven't seen are West Side Story, and I watched half of Belfast. I just gotta finish it. I was watching it last night, and
What do you think of Belfast?
I like it so far.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. It's okay, but
Okay.
my personal favorites of the year in this category, I really like Dune, really like Coda, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, and Power of the Dog. Those are all ones I like. I'm still not sure what my favorite movie of the year would be. That's a good question. It was either Power of the Dog or Nightmare Alley. I'd probably
Huh. Yeah.
Licorice Pizza as a third, but
Um, let's see if I can find it. I'm gonna look at the list of 2022 movies real quick if I can, and try to find my favorite. But I'll go off on this and then look at the list so then you can kind of go over it a little bit. I did not like Nightmare Alley, did not like Power of the Dog, hated Don't Look Up, stopped watching West Side Story. So there's a fair amount of movies in this category. And I really tried this year to like try to see them all, but
uh-huh.
yeah, there was a lot of disappointment, and I don't think Dune's gonna win. That would probably be my choice, but I get that
Yeah,
it's not gonna get it. Um, from what I gather, Licorice Pizza just it isn't this one for Paul Thomas Anderson. I feel like Coda's gonna be the one that wins. It'll upset the Power of the Dog because I feel like there is a fair amount of people in my camp that didn't like Power of the Dog.
okay. Have you seen
But
Coda?
what's what?
Did you see Coda yet?
No, not yet. I've
Okay.
just heard the narrative about it, and I think that's what the Academy does.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's, yeah, I could see him doing Coda or Drive My Car these days, but I don't know. But yeah, if Power of the Dog wins, I'm not going to be surprised. And what I was going to ask you while I look at this list of films,
Mhm.
what would you replace Don't Look Up with? Because it
That's a
should
good
not be
question.
on there.
Yeah, I don't think Don't Look Up should be nominated for anything really. I wouldn't mind seeing Encanto nominated for Best Picture. I thought
All
it was
right.
for
How
anime.
often have animated films been in that category?
Sometimes, let's see. I think the last few years, one of them was animated, right? Maybe.
And I'm looking at the wrong list.
Trying to find out too. I swear.
I was gonna say that my favorite film of 2022 so far is definitely Moonfall. I mean, just genius
Yeah,
filmmaking.
I thought there was a few that were animated in the last couple of years, but maybe not for Best Picture.
Wait a minute. This is saying that Judas and the Black Messiah was 2021.
Yeah, it was 2020. It was nominated for Best Picture last year.
Oh, okay. It says here, I'm looking at 2021, it's in February.
Oh, yeah,
Weird.
it's been like right at the cutoff date. The Oscars were really late last year. They were
Well,
like,
yeah, because of weird. And maybe it was already at a film festival or something.
yeah, I'd probably say Encanto I liked a lot. Other than that, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and remember like what came out that year.
Have
That's
you
not nominated.
seen Nobody yet with
No, I need to see that.
I
It
wanted
looks
to see
cool.
that.
What's his face?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling past most of this, and I don't know. Anything you want to plug real quick? What before we wrap up? While I'm trying to find this.
Not that I can think of, just that I mostly another great year for movies for me, I think, and I just love the Oscars and really excited for next year for Batman.
Yeah.
But
Real quick, The Green Knight, should that have been nominated for something? I haven't seen that yet.
absolutely, that should have been nominated for cinematography, to probably directing and Best Picture. I think it's
Yeah.
an awesome movie. That's one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm glad you thought about that because I forgot
It's
about it.
one I really wanted to see, but just
It's
didn't
awesome.
make it happen.
They should,
Pig is another one I've heard a lot of good stuff about.
yeah, I'm excited to see Pig. Yeah, Green Knight was the total snub. I think that movie's fantastic. That could probably even win cinematography. It's not even nominated. So
It has a really cool look.
yeah,
And I love those A24 movies. They don't always hit, but
his directing is kind of like Denis as well, where it's just like he did this really small budget and just makes it look insane and wonderful. So
man, there's a lot of stuff on this list. I can't really go through all of it, but I guess my favorite movie of the year was Space Jam: A New Legacy.
for sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it looks like it was probably Dune.
yeah.
I mean,
Dune's great.
clearly, I'm a bit of a fanboy. I love the book. My
Yeah.
buddy Jeff, who was the guitar player in my first band, Nadia Pero, like
Mhm.
loved that book. He's like, you got to read this. And
Yeah.
I procrastinated for a while, and then what I recommend, get the book on tape because it's
Okay.
a really dense, thick book, and the pronunciation of names and places and characters can make the read a little bit more laborious than it needs to be. If you do the book on tape, they do the voices for the different characters, so then you're like, oh, okay, and then you immediately start to associate the names of things properly, and then it becomes easier to like get into the narrative more than trying to memorize the
Mhm.
information,
Yeah.
which is all I will say is to go back to adapted screenplay, to take a book that's like Dune and make it so approachable and be that long and not feel that long was really impressive.
Yeah, I think the only thing I didn't like about Dune is it makes us wait for the next one.
Yeah, like this is only the beginning.
I know,
Fuck
I just wanted
you.
to keep watching. I was like, God damn it. I'm not leaving the theater until you play the second part. So yeah, it was great. I loved doing it. I saw it twice in the theaters. It was one
Yeah.
of the movies that I think it's probably the first IMAX movie I've seen since like 2018 or something, so it was
Yeah.
awesome in IMAX. But
I guess that's all I would say. I've heard really good things about Pig and The Green Knight, and
yeah,
those seem like the only movies that could have been in the conversation that just
yeah.
aren't.
I'm almost done catching up on the Oscar movies, and then I think I'll try to make a top 10 list, just my personal favorites of the year that I'm sure like Green Knight and some of these other movies that aren't on
Cool.
here will be on. So
Well, we'll do a follow-up episode after the Oscars air. We'll come up
perfect.
with another movie that's coming out that we both go see and do another review. And yeah, thanks for joining me on this.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. It was great fun. And, go watch the Oscars if you haven't seen them, and find your ballots online and enjoy the movies.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. I will talk to you next time, buddy. Ta-ta!
Good.